Hey guys, I'm Rick, and that is One Big Pile of Bricks with our amazing guests, Lego Masters Season 4 winners, Joss and Henry.
Oh, happy to be here.
Yay!
Yeah.
Applause for
Caleb's
us.
clapping in the background.
Yeah.
Thanks, Caleb.
We've got a live studio
We've
audience.
got a live studio audience. Caleb and Alex are in the background. Caleb was Alex's partner. Alex is the reason why they came second. Caleb did nothing. That's right. How has the Lego Masters journey been?
Yeah, I mean, it's been great. It's been a dream come true, honestly. You know, like, if anyone who's into Lego, this is sort of like just the best of the best, you know, like...
Well, you guys won, so you are the best of the best, right?
Oh, well, you know.
There's only 4 teams so far that have won, so in Australia, and probably the best out of all the Lego Masters that are around. How did you feel coming into this? Did you feel a lot of pressure?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, you know, I think... I can't speak for Henry, but when we were on the show, like, I was definitely there to, you know, sort of, not necessarily win, but at least make it to the finale. It's like, so I really wanted a chance to prove yourself, you know, because...
I honestly, like, before we'd gotten into the first episode, I remember we just arrived in Sydney and we were at the hotel, and I was like, oh, well, we're probably going to go home next week anyway, so don't get comfortable. So I've had...
Yeah, but is that the better attitude to have? Because if you're... Like, we've seen previous seasons, and we're not going to mention maybe Bill's partner. Like, if you're going in too cocky, do you think you're going to fail? Like, that's pretty much what's going to happen, right?
I think
like,
more important than whether you succeed or not is, like, how much fun you have. I know it sounds super cheesy, but, like, it's a lot easier to have fun when you don't care, you know?
Yeah, and the pressure...
And then you sort of do better because you're having more fun.
But it's really hard, too, because you're living up to the 3 previous seasons.
Yeah.
And that's a lot of pressure, you know? Like, as we were discussing earlier, like, the first season, obviously, that's the hardest because no one knows.
Yeah.
And they came into this whirlwind that was Lego Masters. But every season that goes on, the pressure is on you guys to build bigger and better. And I feel that if it was me, I would be, like, panicking. Like, how do you build better than those guys?
Yeah.
Absolutely,
Where you go from here. And there's a lot of things that you don't want to build because you're
exactly.
like, oh, someone else has done it.
Yeah, right?
Like, our final build, it was going to be the mecha crab and an octopus.
Oh, cool.
But then we were watching the past seasons, and there's like an octopus every season. So we're like,
and it's hard to be, because you're going to be compared, all right? Like,
exactly.
every season you're going to be like, oh, but they do this. And, you know, like, social media rubbish, there's always someone at home that's like, oh, they're just copying in previous seasons, but they don't realise that it's so hard.
Yeah.
And some people, like, haven't seen all the previous seasons, or, like, don't have that, you know...
So some people don't care at all. So
yeah, exactly.
Like,
but, like, even, like, other contestants haven't seen, like,
Yeah.
all of it. So, you know, they go in and they might have done something that's been done before, but they had no idea.
Yeah.
You know? So
It's really hard, too, because, like, you know, Henry and Kate smashed it. They were the first season, and everyone always remembers Henry and Kate because it's, like, the number one, right?
Yeah.
The last 2 seasons, unfortunately, COVID's been crazy, so, like, it's been hard to do meet and greets and stuff. But now, you know, with you guys coming out, how do you feel coming out? Like, we're not out of COVID, but we're sort of coming out of it. Do you guys feel like you're prepared to do meet and greets with everybody?
yeah, I mean, it's been nice, sort of, the fact that we've had that freedom to sort of actually, you know, see people and I guess do lots of events and appearances and stuff after
Because
the
you've done
fact.
heaps, right? Like, at time of filming, Dan doesn't like me putting in dates, but bad luck, Dan. So at the time of filming today, we're doing a meet and greet. Obviously, it's June. Dan, bad luck. We're doing a meet and greet today. But previous, you've done heaps of shows so far this year. Because this is the year, out of COVID, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And when we started filming, like, the show, it was just at the end. So we were still in a lockdown when we left.
Wow,
So then
okay, yeah.
It was like halfway through filming, everyone like got let out and was just doing whatever they wanted, but we were still sort of busy.
Yeah.
So then when we came back, it was really drastically different. You know, it was sort of the craziest time to disappear for a little while.
Because you guys would have been locked in this, like, little Lego Masters world,
We were,
right? Because
yeah.
they're
Little
trying to
Lego
protect
Master
you guys.
bubble. Yeah.
Well, they have to protect you guys, because once COVID gets into a show like that,
Yeah, it would have been
Exactly,
pretty
yeah.
rough.
everyone gets it, and
It's-
then it's like lockdown, right?
It's honestly amazing that no one did get COVID. Like,
Well, especially, like, because you guys film in Sydney now, and Sydney at the time was getting smashed with cases.
Yeah,
yeah.
And it's hard to protect
pretty dodgy.
everybody. Yeah, well, it's hard. It's one of those things, like, I know everyone's, like, over COVID, but unfortunately we still have to, like, touch on it because the show was filmed peak COVID. How did you find filming with Brickman and Hamish?
Oh, great, honestly. You
Yeah.
know, like, the sort of larger-than-life personalities, you know.
Hamish
just like,
is great. Hamish
Yeah.
is a really
Oh,
good.
amazing.
Brickman as well, but Hamish is really good.
yeah, I think you know, Hamish certainly just takes the show from being like, it would already be an amazing experience, but the
Yeah.
fact that he's just like,
Mm-hmm.
he's so funny and so charming and likable, and he just diffuses any and all tension. Like, before you go on the show, you sort of hype it up in your head as like, oh my god, this is going to be so stressful, so like, you know,
Yeah.
such a huge thing. But then when you get on there, like, the nerves are there at first, but it goes away so quickly, and it just becomes just you're having fun with people, you know.
Did you enjoy the whole process? Was there some teams you didn't get along with?
I mean, I think we got along pretty well with every team, but like obviously some teams we sort of stuck with a bit more than others, and we're just
Well,
very,
it's hard
very
too
close
because
friends
you
with them
guys
now.
went to the end, right? You guys, Alex and Caleb, you guys went right to the end. So you guys are going to be closer than anyone else. And I think people struggle with the fact that, like, oh, do you see these people all the time? Well, Andrew and Crystal's hard because they're in Melbourne, but they got eliminated first. They're not a part of the 3 months journey that was Lego Masters, right?
Yeah, and that's sort of why I explain to people, like, when they're like, well, why is everyone crying and stuff? And it's like, well, it's sort of, we're all a friend group, and then some people get only half the experience.
Yeah.
Whereas, like,
Yeah.
you know, and that's why it was really sad, because it's like your mates get
Well,
cut off for
you're
the
in that
rest of the
bubble too, right?
experience.
So
Yeah.
for 3 months, these are the people you see every day.
the only people
Absolutely.
you see. So
And it's an emotional thing because, like, lockdown's been emotional for everybody. But when you're in such a tight bubble with, like, 12 people,
Yeah.
it's you get to the end and then you're, like, realizing it's an actual competition because you forget.
Well, yeah, it was a bit like that. Like, you know, you went into the first episode and it was like, all right, competition mode, let's go. But then, like, again, it just turned into sort of like us having fun with Lego, and then the first elimination hit, and it was like, oh god, this is like.
It was weird this
competition.
year as well, the way they did it, because usually it's like they threw around the episodes a little bit. So, like, they had Andrew and Crystal, and then there was a bit of a gap.
there was a lot of a gap.
There was a lot of a gap,
Yeah,
right? And then you
and,
feel
yeah.
really weird because then there's someone else is getting booted.
I think that was a really good way to do it because, you know, in almost every season of Lego Masters, the real highlights of the season are when there's like a big group.
Yeah.
You know, it starts to get really like, you can feel it's very tense in like the later episodes. But I think the fact that, you know, we had that time to get to know each other, build that camaraderie, and all just have fun together, it just makes the show more fun to watch as well.
It's one of those shows that, especially this year, you know, every season is great. But this year I felt like they had to step up the challenges because you were outside. Like, that's hard. Like, people don't realize Lego and outside are not friends.
Especially when you don't have any warning.
Well, and that's the
Yeah,
thing, because they're like, oh, we're doing
particularly
on this wire, and you're like, oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And then they're like, oh, by the way, you're outside.
Yeah, no idea. Every single time.
And we
it's like-
effectively built a sail.
That's true, right? You
It's a
did.
big wind
Yeah.
catching machine. So
But every episode you guys seem to do reasonably well.
Yeah,
well, thanks.
thanks.
Like, you can't, like...
There's some we do and don't like.
It's really
than
hard
others,
to
but
not take the criticism to heart, right? Because social media, Joss especially, he has a big social media. He's been around for a long time. Like, those in the Lego sort of picked you were going to be on the show when your account got quiet. Like, you know, it's like you're posting that and you're like, oh, he's on Lego. I was like, but, you know, like, being on social media, that sometimes it's hard not to read the comments, and when you do, it can be a bit tender.
Yeah.
I think I could probably only count on like one hand like the truly negative comments that we got, you know, and
Pretty
like
lucky in that sense.
yeah, I think, you know, it's really quite heartwarming to see that, you know, so many people were like so positive. You know, I was expecting a lot more backlash for certain things than we actually did get, which was really
Yeah,
nice.
but I wouldn't expect backlash for you guys, you know.
Oh, well, you know, you always build it up in your head.
Well, it's always the way too, because you're on the show and you've seen
Yeah.
how previous seasons have, like, some teams have copped it, and some teams have been like, "Oh, good job," but then you get some teams that are just like a freight train of negativity, and that happens with social media, unfortunately. How did you find being put in the category as the dragon guy?
I just don't get it.
I dislike it.
It's like, because I was like, he's not the dragon guy though. He builds like serpents. It's like, my brain was like, how is that?
I think
Like,
it was kind of annoying because every time we did do something that was like dragon-esque, I suppose, you know, it was always a very big point made of, oh, you're doing a dragon again. You
was
know?
that from Brickman?
Even, might I add, the first time we built a dragon,
Yeah.
we got,
Really?
you can't build dragons every time.
It's like,
Well, this is the
But-
first time we just built one.
yeah. Can you let us have this, please?
Was it a bit like, you can't build dragons? Like,
I wouldn't know. Yeah.
it's one of those things,
Yeah.
right? Like,
Yeah.
it's hard because obviously your social media is big on like serpents and dragons and mythical creatures. I don't think people understand that what you're seeing in the 45-minute episode is like a lot of filming, and they've had to edit it down. And like you're copying criticism, and it like looks like it's straight away, but it's been over a few days saying, "Hey, you shouldn't do that." Right? Is that how it goes?
Yeah, a little bit. And the thing is, though, like usually if there's one piece of criticism, it's probably repeated. A few
Yeah.
times.
Pretty consistent, yeah, because that's sort of the narrative that they're pushing.
But you can kind of say, doesn't matter. We won Lego Masters now.
Yeah,
Right?
but I think from what I've heard from like previous seasons as well, anytime someone is good at like one particular thing, you know, they always challenge that and say like, what if you like didn't do that?
Yeah, apparently Dave and Gus got a lot of...
Every like, because they build animals a lot.
Yeah,
you know,
they would have got a bit. It happens. Like Dave's podcast is later, right? Dan hasn't aired yet, so Dave speaks about it as well. He's like, "Oh yeah, we copped it a bit because you get stuck in that." But also too,
But-
if you're on a show, you're going to build what you're good at.
yeah, and they did it, and they still got really high praise at the end. You know, so
Their wolf though, that wolf they did in that like snow globe thing.
Oh, the fox.
Yeah, it was just awesome. I was like, oh, like, and they're the sort of builds you like to see. And then when you guys came in, I said to Caroline when we were watching it, we were lucky enough to watch it before everyone else. When we were watching it, I was like, oh, these guys are going to win. Like, because you can tell building skills and building styles. But in saying that, Alex and Caleb, like, to come second, they're amazing. Like,
Snuck up on you.
they're very
well,
good.
you weren't expecting it, right? Because
Yeah.
you're never expecting it.
I don't know. I think it was around like maybe halfway through the season, and I sort of made a call. I was like, my ideal top three, and what I think the top three are going to be, is like obviously I'd love if we made it.
Yeah, obviously, like,
I reckon Nick and Jean.
it'd be a bit weird if you're like,
obviously,
oh no, I don't want to be
Nick and
top
Jean
three.
after their winning streak, but I was like, Alex and Caleb keep getting better every challenge, and I
Yeah.
would love to have them in the finale.
Like it was really good. Like I was telling Karen, this is awesome because it's hard with Lego because every season of Lego Masters hasn't really had a mixture of men and women. It's hard, right? Because to get that amount of mixture on TV, I guess is hard. But when Alex and Caleb stepped up, I was like, oh my god, this is amazing. And then when they came second, we were like, oh, we're pretty proud of them. Like that's a big accomplishment because you guys like put up a fight the whole season, and even though it looked like Nick and Jean were winning, you guys were smashing out like
Yeah. Well,
excellent builds every episode.
I mean, in the later episodes, you know, like Caleb and Alex, like they won the Secret City one.
yeah,
They won the I think they were sort of the unspoken winners of both the beginning, middle, and end, and the Sky's the Limit one. So they won like 3 episodes. Like,
were they the
back to
surprise? Were you surprised that they came second?
oh, not at all. No,
Oh, that they came second.
Yeah.
No.
we. I mean, again, we
thought
didn't know.
Because you guys get
Yeah.
to see a lot more than we do,
We
right?
didn't know
Yeah.
the result until
And-
everyone else did, and we, you know, we very well could have known that they would have come first.
Yeah,
Like,
and
Yeah.
it's so absolutely random in a way where you've got no idea. Like before we knew any of the results, it was like I could walk in there, be told, "Oh, we're third, Caleb and Alex win, and Nick and Jean second," and I go, "Oh, I believe it." Like they could have
Because
just
Nick and Jean were strong all season.
yeah. You know, it's just every option, every combination was just as likely as the other. I think so. That's why it was really such a like
Yeah.
tight competition.
Because like by the end of the season, I think by the end of every season, you know, sort of the people who make it all the way to the finale, they sort of realize they find along the way what they're good at.
Yeah.
And you know, like, and it's always different between the 3 finalists, which is great. They always end up with very different builds. But I think, you know, like in terms of skill, you know, you're on pretty even ground, but you've just all got something that you specialize in. And it's just like,
I don't think that's a bad thing with you guys specializing in like mythical creatures. Like anything, I don't think people understand how hard it is to build that stuff out of Lego. Like
Well,
everyone,
I can't do it.
Well, and like I can't. It's hard enough for me to build a Lego set, man. Like you can't. I think it's easy for people at home to be like, oh, they're always building dragon, but to build a dragon and something that looks really, really good is really hard.
And might I add something that looks different each time? Like,
Well,
I'd
it
say
was.
the
It wasn't the same thing. You know, if it was the
Yeah.
same thing, then I could understand. Like you'd be like, oh yeah, but it wasn't every time.
It's sort of, I think, because for the first build and
and the penultimate one,
yeah,
I think
it was the same technique.
they were
So-
very similar. So everyone sort of just blanked out on everything between those 2 builds.
Yeah.
So it was like, oh, we look at the first, we look
Yeah.
at the last.
So it was unfortunate that we sandwiched it that way.
Yeah, it was very unfortunate in that regard.
Yeah, but you guys won, so it doesn't matter now.
Yeah,
It's just like, man,
That's a great attitude.
that's very true.
It's true, right? You can't and it's hard because you feel for the people along the way that get eliminated, but it is a competition, and you forget that because you've been together for so long.
Yeah.
How did you find building like as brothers on TV? Did you clash much?
No, we don't.
Never.
No, we don't.
Never?
Clash. No.
Never.
We're pretty alright actually. Like it's.
You seem pretty chill, like.
Yeah.
And this is the thing, like I was like, and when we met you, like this morning when you guys arrived, I said to Caroline, I wonder how like they're gonna be, like, because you speak over the internet, it's a bit different.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, he's exactly the same. This is perfect, because sometimes what you see on TV, and then like when you meet them in person, it's not the same sort of deal.
Definitely.
That's good that you guys got along the whole time, like, because I thought maybe you might have clashed a bit about things.
I think we're just both in the same mindset while we were there of like, it's far more productive and we'll get better results if we just communicate and agree with each other, because fighting just wastes time.
Exactly.
It really does, and you could see it with other teams.
Yeah.
'Cause, like,
I mean,
I don't really like, saying bad things about other teams. It's not right. But you can see it with other teams, like, that were clashing, that their builds hurt and their builds suffer. Because if you're not gelling together, and you can notice it in a lot of builds every season, there's one team that you can just look at it and go, oh, yeah, these guys didn't get along. You can see the divide straight down the middle where it joins, right? And it's not flush.
I think we were very blessed in the sense that we both have like very similar sort of trains of thought. So a lot of the time we'd go into challenges and we'd immediately have the same idea. And so having that strong idea out the gate that you both have a very clear vision of meant that it very much made the process a lot easier.
Only problem is then if neither of us know what to do, it was pretty.
It was, yeah.
Did you have any of those
disastrous.
moments where you were like panicking a little bit? Like,
Yeah, there were two builds, like the Secret City one,
yeah.
which I'm not taking blame for because that was just confusing.
Yeah,
Like we were
I think there's
so confused.
Was the brief confusing?
Yeah.
Yeah, we just didn't know, and it's because we now know. It's because we got told half the brief, and that was sort of the point. So, like, as an episode, it makes sense, but when you're there at the time,
Real time, it doesn't.
yeah,
right?
you're like you're asking them. So, what are we meant to be building? And they're like,
it's a secret.
That's a bit odd. Like, how are you
yeah,
meant to,
it's like, yeah, how do we start? So
it
then
makes good TV, I get it, but still, it's like,
Yeah, it was really hard to start.
That was quite frustrating.
And so
'cause it
we
really,
started like 3 different times, and then it was like 3 hours in, we got told the secret, and then it was like, okay, well, now we got to start again, but hopefully use the things we've got. So yeah, not super fond of that build, but
yeah, that's all right.
And what was the second build that you were struggling with?
The semi-final one,
yeah,
because I think we sort of
just couldn't think of anything.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing there was sort of, at this point, we were kind of like told, like in the semi-final, to start thinking about the finale. And so we started really thinking about the finale, and we were like planning out the finale build to a T.
Yeah.
And then when we like started that episode, we were like, oh my God, we still have to, win.
Yeah, we're not there yet.
We still have to like beat the top 3 teams to get to the finale. And like, there was just a lot of pressure there because like, what if you get this far but you don't make it? And like, we got this
It's
great
mental,
idea that
right?
we wanted,
Like, mental is what holds you back the most. Because you guys have the best building skill. But if you're mentally not right, you could just be having a bad day because everyone has a bad day.
Yeah, and we got told a lot that like, oh, you guys are win, or oh, you guys are definitely in the finale, and
but like
it's all well and good to say that, but if you don't, like we weren't guaranteed a spot. We had to work all the way through it.
We don't just snap our fingers and a build appears.
Yeah.
It's still really difficult.
Well, and it's really hard because this year I felt that the times were shorter.
They were, yeah.
I really felt it. Like this year I was like 10 hours. Like what? Like your brain was like, usually it's 16. But I feel like they wanted to have pressure to create like the drama sort of like pressure building stuff. But you guys seem to pull it off every episode.
Oh, thanks. It meant that sometimes like you had to, like with the spider house, I think the build size probably would have been the same, but it would have had more sort of going on,
more context
around it.
Yeah.
So really, it's like, do you need the extra time for something like that? Whereas other ones, absolutely, we would have loved to have more time.
How did you find the bridge build?
I liked it.
Yeah, the bridge build was a lot of fun. I think
Yeah.
you know
It looked like it was fun.
Yeah.
Like
we
to
sort
make
of,
mess is always fun.
Yeah, I actually saw on your podcast with Trent and Paul that you called me out.
Yeah, I was like, what's going on here? Because I was just like, because my concern was the weight, right? Like,
Yeah,
because you're gonna have like you don't think of it at the time, but if you're thinking like it is liquid, everything's gonna go to the middle, and that's what I was saying to Trent and Paul. And afterwards, I was like,
that wasn't what stitched us up.
no.
No, because
No, it was like
the structural break wasn't the middle of the bridge; it was the base of the pillar.
Okay, that makes sense. Because I
Yeah.
was always like, and then for Nick and Jeans to hold, which is dumb. But anyway, like, yeah, right. We all had the same.
just a slow head shake.
A slow head shake
Oh
from
my
all of
God.
Australia.
Yeah, everyone was like, it's so ugly. Like, you're just like, what?
Yeah.
And then it just stayed there, and you're just like, oh.
Well, it was a big gamble on their part because, like, you know, every single technical challenge in past years, it's come down to aesthetics.
Yeah, that's the thing, because usually it is,
Yeah.
Brickman, like Caleb does a better Brickman, but usually it's like, you got to work in aesthetics. It's got to, what's the story? The whole story aspect all the time. But with that, and having both pillars twists, it's too hard. Like, it's too hard to get it accurate, right? Like, to build a bridge. Because when you're looking at it from the outsider's point of view, you're like, how is that even possible?
Yeah. Well, I think that was actually one challenge where Henry and I did have not really creative differences, but technical differences. Like, I had a
Yeah.
way that I wanted to go about it, which was like, I don't think real world engineering works in this scenario. I think we need to use Lego engineering. But Henry said we should employ real world engineering and have a floating top with like tires. And I stupidly shut him down on it because
And then they told us.
Well.
They told us afterwards because they test all the challenges.
Yeah.
We were like, so what won? And they were like, tires, floating bridge.
Did you just
like,
give him
"Damn
a
it."
look like,
I
you
was
right?
just
Like, because later in the car, he's going to be like, are you fucking right? What's going on? You're like, oh, sorry, man. But, there always has to be teams that don't always win.
Oh,
'Cause if you won every challenge,
no,
Yeah.
you could end up
wouldn't
like
want
Nick
it.
and Gina
Yeah.
going third,
really,
right? Like,
I'm really glad that we didn't win like so many challenges because it's sort of, I guess it made that win in the Grandscapes one, which was so not our our comfort zone, feel
Yeah.
all the more like
Yeah.
I guess deserved and like it felt really empowering. Like we can really
the finale
do this.
build. I would have that on display in our store anytime.
Thanks,
that was
mate.
just awesome as.
Thanks.
We wish it could be.
I was just like, oh, yeah, but they own them.
We don't know
now,
where
right?
it is.
I
It's probably
really want to
storage
see it.
somewhere.
I really want to see it again.
I'll have to
Yeah.
reach out to a few people and be like, where are the builds now? Because usually they keep them, but no one knows where they store them. It's probably at Fox Studios.
If you want to commission us for 50 grand, because that's what we got paid to do it last time. So.
Well, 50 grand each it has to be, right? Like,
Yeah,
now
that's
you're
true.
charging Brickman money. Now we're in trouble. Like,
Oh, dear.
you got to, like, but then, yeah, I would, but I don't know how Caroline would feel about it. What do you reckon? Dan's laughing because he knows I get into trouble.
I do want to try and
Are you allowed to replicate it?
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know, but I really want to, or at least make the kaiju
Maybe
again.
ask before you're like,
Yeah.
Probably be a
so you
good
don't
idea.
get like
I think
Channel
maybe
9 be like, that's ours.
probably be allowed to make it, but not to
Not
sell
profit
it.
off it.
No.
Yeah, it's probably the way, right? You'd probably have to have it displayed
Yeah.
Yeah.
because it would like be a number one crowd pleaser.
Mm.
Get everyone to see the finale, but I'm surprised it's not around anywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're very they must be holding on to them for that exhibition or something.
Yeah, there's going to
do the lot.
be every year they talk about it, but we'll see because I know you guys can't really touch on any future seasons because there's a lot of rumors floating around. But it'd be interesting to see what happens after season 5 to see if there's going to be some sort of like Lego exhibition with all the displays.
Yeah, because we know that like Lego Masters is renewed for a 5th season,
Yeah, so they renewed.
but I don't think they've renewed it past that.
No,
have
so they did 4 and 5 because I think Hamish is moving to America.
Oh,
That's
right.
what I heard. Yeah, so I heard he's
Big Hollywood
relocating.
star.
Yeah, I think it's more his wife because she owns that business that's like pretty
I
big.
think I read an article just recently him saying that he didn't want to move.
Yeah, I don't know.
that they
There's
weren't
like all
going
these
to.
sort of maybe because he's won the gold Logie now and he's valuable. We can thank you guys, like
Yeah, must be nice.
I know there were season 3 guys there and they were voting for season, but really no one remembers season 3. It's all about the recent season, right? You guys can claim that win for yourself because Gene does. It's on Gene's social media. He's a Logie winner now.
Like, oh, did he put
Yeah,
it
have you seen that? It's
No.
like in his description, it's like I don't know the original winner of Lego Masters or something, and then it goes Logie winner, blah blah blah. I know. When I saw it, I was laughing.
right on you? Good on you, man.
No comment on that. No, nothing.
That's
You want me
funny.
to store the point?
It's
Store-
funny, but yeah.
Fair enough.
Well, because everyone remembers, because it's been so long, right? Like,
Yeah, it was funny timing to have it like our season, then it's like right after.
yeah,
Zalogi's.
I'm not too sure
For the
how they
last
vote for that. It's like, so next year will be your season, I'm assuming.
Maybe.
Yeah, well, because all the season 3 finalists were at the Logies.
They
So
were.
Hopefully, we get an invite next year.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
I know there was a few other people in the Lego Masters community a bit salty that they weren't invited, and I was like, but it's not for your season. Like,
Yeah.
But I guess, you want to keep riding the gravy train of Lego Masters. Yeah.
I suppose so.
I'm waiting
there's
for Joss
times-
to say something. Come on, Joss.
There's times where I'm ready to hop off the gravy train for just a bit.
Yeah. I think, it'd be nice to take a bit of a break every now and then, but, it's still nice.
Because you guys have like Lego Con in a few weeks in July. This
Yes.
will be airing afterwards. Bad luck, Lego. No promotion for you. But like, are you guys excited for Lego Con?
I am, yeah. No, it'll be nice to do, because this is sort of the biggest, I guess, event appearance that we've
Well, it
done.
is, and it's a free event, so I think they've sold
Yeah.
out already.
They have, from what I've been
I
told.
wonder
yeah.
how many tickets they sold. That's gonna be massive
Yeah.
because it's free, and
It's free. So
maybe your builds will be there.
That would be
That'd be
so
awesome.
I would
Yeah.
love that.
That'd be
much.
so good if your build was there, like the top 3 builds there. Like, surprised they're not getting any of the other guys.
If this airs before LegoCon, and you're listening, guys, get on it. There's
Yeah,
still time.
I'll ask Dave, who was on one of our previous ones. He's one of the challenge producers. I should
Yeah.
ask him and see.
Lovely
if he
guy.
wants- Yeah,
Mr. Holder.
yeah. He's in America at the moment doing his thing for Brickwell.
I think I did see that. Yeah.
Yeah, because they just released
Chicago, yeah.
Charmander.
Yeah. It looks good.
I may or may not have brought one, but that's
Yeah.
fine.
I saw I saw like a while ago that he said he was disassembling the old one, and I was like, oh, I like that Charmander, but no, he really.
The new one looks
The new
great.
one's great, yeah.
And like he's a top tier builder too. Like when you see his builds and like
Yeah.
he builds for instructions, which is really good because like
Yeah.
it's different than building say something like this because you can just do whatever inside. But when you have to build for people, it's harder.
Believe me, I know.
Well, you are now the Lego master.
Yeah, I've done instruction builds before.
Have you really?
Yeah.
So you sold them pre Lego Masters, obviously.
Yeah, I still sell them.
Do you really? So what sort of builds do you sell?
I do a lot of pop culture stuff. Like,
Cool. I had no idea. This is great. I'm gonna buy some stuff now.
yeah. I sell a couple of pop culture ones as well as a few original creations that are like, sturdy enough, and I guess the parts are the big part is like that the pieces are easy to source.
Especially if you use specialized pieces, that's the hardest part,
Yeah,
right?
because I do a lot of Bionicle building stuff, but a lot of my instructions ones are system based.
Wow.
Yeah.
Now I'm gonna have to like look at that thing and buy some stuff I don't need. Like all this pressure now to spend money. This is the way it is, right?
It's
But
constant.
it is a really interesting sort of like way of building. It's so different.
It is. It's really hard, and
Yeah.
you know, like everyone criticizes Lego sets, right? But they don't understand how hard it is. Because Lego sells everywhere. Lego's massive. You're having to think of like a million people when you're building, like designing a Lego set.
There's a
You know what?
certain denominator of intelligence that you got to.
You said it. I did it.
You've got to cater for like the lowest common denominator.
Well, it's always that first page, step 1, and you know how it's always
It's just
that
one piece. Yeah.
and you look at it, and we always look at it and go, what?
sorted.
And it's like, oh, perfect. And then like,
Yeah.
and I feel like Lego instructions now are more basic.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're certainly a lot clearer, and they're getting better at it. Because I mean, like some people, it could be their first Lego set.
Mm-hmm.
Like every Lego set could
Imagine
be
being
someone's
your first Lego set being like the big Hogwarts castle.
Well, there's some
It just
people.
break you.
I have met people who have had that exact set as their first set.
We've sold a few
like-
big Millennium Falcons to first timers, and you've
Yeah,
always said to them like,
exactly.
"Are you sure you don't want to build something easier first?" Like, no, I'll be fine. And they come in 2 weeks later being like, "Yeah, I'm only a quarter of the way through." I said, "I told you, it's a big build. It's not hard. It hurts a lot of brains building big sets."
Yeah.
If you had the chance, would you want to work for Lego as a designer?
Yeah. God, yeah. It's been a dream for ever since I was a wee lad.
Really?
Yeah.
It's true.
Wow. Maybe you got to do a shout out now because they are hiring Lego Masters left, right, and center.
Yeah.
You saw they've got Boone and they've got Aaron,
Yeah.
and there's a few others that are like applying and seems they're gonna get through. Like because they do that weird challenge where it's like the white room. You
Yeah.
heard the challenge they do? It's like a completely
No.
white room, roof, walls, carpets, all white, and they just have Lego and they go build something we've never seen before. Well, you'd be fine, but
That
like,
sounds really creepy, actually.
I've been
Like
been
this
told that
weird psych ward.
let's come in this white room in Denmark, like, and
Yeah.
build some Lego.
I've had a couple of friends who have done that. Who
Yeah.
have gotten to that stage, but I'm sort of like, because I feel like that's a lot of like pressure, and you want to be at the top of your game when you do it. So like, there's been times where Lego has been hiring, but I just haven't put an application in.
Well, and
because
also too, like
I want to make sure when I do it, I'm ready.
it's
you know?
like Denmark's a long way away,
Yeah.
and like everything changes when you move over there, right? So there's a few. One of the Aussie designers, he works on Star Wars. He's really good. He's been back a few times. I don't think after pandemic he's been back, but he's from around here, so he's a really good dude. When he got the job, I was like, he's like, can I tell you something? I was like, yeah, what? He's like, I had a job with Lego. I was like, wait, what? And he's like, yeah, Lego Star Wars. I was like, because but unfortunately, Star Wars is always X-wings and TIE fighters and the same. You would know. You work in the same like Lego areas like we do. Like Lego Star Wars is always the same. So maybe you can go in and improve it for them.
Yeah, I'd love to do like, I think if I could work on any like theme, I'd love to do create a 3-in-1. That's my favorite.
You do a great job at it.
That's my favorite theme.
You'd build some really cool dragons. And be known as only the dragon guy.
Yeah, absolutely. No.
Build a castle dragon.
That's all right. You'll have to build, because with the new big castle coming out soon, you're gonna have to build a big dragon for it.
I don't know. Traditional dragons are a bit boring.
They are, especially Lego ones. I find like sometimes Lego cheat.
Yeah,
They
we
use,
hate
like, the
Lego dragons.
Like they use that molded head. You know how sometimes, especially with Ninjago,
I like the molded heads.
I think
See,
the
I
better
don't.
molded heads were elves.
I'm not a fan of them at all.
I-
I've never liked it. I think it's more impressive with Lego when like instead of manufacturing a piece designed specifically for one thing, it's far more interesting to either make it out of other things or doing the
Well, I
opposite
find there's a
way.
lot more of that now. Like Lego
Yeah.
are doing specialized stuff again.
Yeah, they have been really taking that on, haven't they?
Yeah,
Like,
and it's
there's-
bad. I don't like it
It's
because
weird which
last
ones
time
they
they did that,
choose.
it was like not great because
Yeah.
that's when they got caught in like early 2000s when they were making every set had a specialized part, and that's how they went broke because they were like, because they're expensive, right?
Yeah.
And then it takes out the creativity, especially when you're building like dragons and.
Well, I think actually quite the contrary. I think I see it as a challenge. You know, they come out with
we
these.
can't all be master.
They come
builders.
out with these new like.
I'm just a casual man.
They come
It's
out
not
with
as
these new
interesting.
like wacky pieces, and I'm just like, I want to try and use it for something else.
Well, that's fair. Like
That's a great perspective, but I don't do that.
great
So-
perspective when you're a winner. Like you can be like, oh yeah, I like the challenge. Us noobs are like, yeah, but why can't they do this?
Yeah,
that's
I
right.
want to build it.
I want to build something exciting. Like
Yeah.
Yeah, one of my favorite new pieces is the like lower jaw piece that came in the Ninjago Jungle Dragon. I've used it in like 4 mocks since.
I will take your word for it because I don't look at the parts.
Yeah.
I'm a minifig guy. I like minifigures. What fascinates me when they do dual molded like arms and stuff, because you got to think the amount of technology that needs to go into like making a leg, especially with one of the new city sets. They got like a prosthetic one.
Yeah.
And they're super flush. Like,
Yeah,
they're
and they look really
clean.
good.
Yeah, Lego's getting real clean with their dual molding.
It looks a lot better than when they originally started. If you remember, like the Simpsons figs looked a bit weird.
There are a few.
They looked a bit like they were just like slapped together. Where now it looks like perfectly flush.
I mean, and then they can do crazy stuff like the Muppets minifigs that have got like.
Those figures, we've sold so many of Muppets minifigures, man. Like we sell them as full sets. We're in like 700 or 800 full sets now. It's crazy.
They look fantastic.
I'm
Yeah.
collecting the Swedish chefs.
Because you need more of them.
Yeah. I just think he's the best. Like,
He's so good. And when they brought him out, because like Muppets back, and they were more adult related. You sort of like, how are they going to get away with making certain characters? But they did, and you were like, oh, I'm hoping there's going to be a season 2 and season 3 of like figs, but we'll see.
I think Lego's sort of. I think they've loosened up a bit on their TNCs.
I think so, because Star Wars has a lot of violence. Let's be honest.
Absolutely.
Like,
I mean, they made a Lego set of the scene from Obi-Wan where Darth Vader drags Obi-Wan through hot coals.
Oh, you mean the new? What are they calling it? The new spaceship-looking thing, the one that's like a round disc, which is a bit weird looking. You seen that? It's like a disc. It's got Darth Vader and Obi-Wan.
No,
No, I
I
don't
don't
think
know.
so.
If you have a look, it looks really odd.
I've only seen the there's like the Inquisitor's ship and then the one that's just like grey terrain with like
Yeah, that's the one. It looks a bit weird, but it's Lego. Sometimes you got to use your creativity.
yeah.
got to pull a Joss and build something
That's
amazing.
what it's all
Yeah,
about.
that's right.
Well, thank you for joining us. We
No worries.
appreciate it.
Thanks for having us, man.
No, anytime, man. We're grateful you came down. I know it was an early flight this morning.
Oh,
We're looking
was
forward to
nice.
meeting
It's
a
greets
good
today.
time.
There'll be a lot of people. I appreciate it. We all appreciate it. Dan appreciates it because he's got a job. Like,
Thanks, Dan.
All right, well, we'll put down their social media, and if I can find where Josh sells his instructions, I'll put a link down as well.
Oh, it's just through email. Like,
Oh, there you go.
see something you like, send me an
Email
email.
Josh. Nothing inappropriate.
Yeah.
Well, maybe. I don't know.
Everybody email Josh.
We'll put Josh's email so you can send him spam.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Exactly.
Perfect. Awesome. Thanks, guys.
No
no
worries.
worries.